Welcome to LSC, it's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Jonathan Dean, a former football and basketball player at Bethel High School, won 2 state championships, one in each. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to get you in here. We had you on a little short snippet when Mike Bailey retired and all, but you grew up in Hampton, playing sports as a youngster. You just, what'd you play?
Pretty much everything: football, basketball, dodgeball, anything I could play. Just trying to get outside.
Was it organized, or you just, sandlot stuff? What?
A lot of it was sandlot, but I ended up playing for Northampton about a year under Coach London, his dad, matter of fact.
Right.
So that was probably my first taste of organized sports.
Right. That was a little different than what you play in Sandlot.
A whole lot different.
Well, you went to private school for a while.
Yes, actually ended up going to private school because of my learning disability, and had to go there for about 5 years, middle school, and then ended up going to Bethel High in 1990.
Okay. As a 9th grader, you go over there, and did you have to talk your mom into letting you go over there because you wanted to play sports? I know.
That was, I wanted to play to be like my cousins, and I wanted to go out.
Who are your cousins?
Inconveniences.
Right.
Both played at Bethel. My uncle and my cousins coached me.
Right.
So and my uncle had to go to my mom's house and explain what was going on.
Well, then you had somebody on your side.
I had a couple people on my side because I remember as a child I didn't want to play, but now I grew up and started watching more and more and got into sports and really wanted to play football.
Right.
And
so when you get over there, you play varsity. You get on the varsity as a 9th grader in football.
Actually, my sophomore year.
No, I'm sophomore.
Yeah, sophomore year.
As a JV, you played for
Larry Eastep.
Larry Eastep, who just retired.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go down with the building.
But he was your coach in JV football, and then you had Findolf was your basketball coach?
Yes, he was. Mm-hmm.
So as a sophomore, then you played varsity football, but not stayed JV basketball?
Yes.
Okay, talk a little bit about that, because now you're going up there, and you're a sophomore. You're one of the youngest guys on the team, on the field out there.
Three of us that year that was varsity players.
Who were the other two?
Me, Allen Iverson, and a guy named Kelly.
Kelly Rogers?
Yep.
Okay, so just you were the 3 guys to go up there, and was Paul the quarterback? Paul London?
No, Paul was my freshman year when I was on JV.
That's when, okay,
yep.
Freshman year. Mm-hmm. I knew he was there. I couldn't put the
they
years
actually
together.
moved Allen to quarterback that year, and was one of his right tackle.
Well, see, now Allen played a little bit of varsity, because I remember seeing a game where he was playing wide receiver.
He played wide receiver and defense corner.
Right,
corner that year.
Right. So now you go up there. Talk about that experience, because now you're going against big guys.
yeah, that was. I think my mom was nervous more than I was, and she would look up the stats, and I'd explain to her it's not, not the size of the guy that's going to get
the
heart. Yeah, that's what Coach Cos used to tell us that all the time.
Right.
I think the worst experience was trying to figure out what to call my cousins on the field. I didn't know what to call them, coach, or their nicknames, and I didn't know what to call them. I was so confused then.
All right, now what position were you playing back? It was on defense, basically?
I was offensive. I started out as offensive tackle. One of the guys on defense got hurt and ended up having played defensive tackle at the end of the year. So I ended up being a 2-way starter my sophomore year.
Well, that was real good. And then as a junior, you played varsity, both football and basketball. Correct. So you must have had a love for both of them, you and Iverson and Kelly Rogers.
Yeah, I really liked it. I wanted to be a basketball player more than I wanted to be a football player. Then I realized I was going to be too short. So I gelled into being more of a football player, and it was great experience on both sides.
Okay, now as a junior, you guys are, you're really gelling as a team. And talk about some of the players on that varsity football team.
We had Chris Gaskell, actually the guys that played on offensive line with me, obviously I'm still in touch with. We had Keith, we call him Mike Schultz, Kevin Coulter, and Vince Page was our center.
Right.
And I've known those guys, except for like Mike Schultz, all my life.
Right.
And it was it was just fun. It was like almost playing backyard ball again, and it was some tough times. We got each other through it, and it was real close knit people because it was only like 20 of us.
Right, but you kind of formed a bond that helped you get through all that thing, and you still maintain it to this day. You're still in touch with these guys.
Yeah, I'm actually getting married this weekend, so they'll be at the wedding.
You get married this weekend?
Yes, I am.
Well, congratulations!
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, now you guys are playing. The year before they won undefeated in the district and then got beat by Norcom.
Yep.
So now you guys. You don't win you win the district, but now you can play Norcom again.
Right.
Well, we're talking about the Mud Bowl. That had to be one of the worst games to get, because I'm watching the film and the referees are slipping and sliding. So
I used to love those type of games. I mean, I didn't.
You get down and dirty.
Yeah, get down and dirty. I was an offensive lineman, or defensive lineman. I didn't have to do routes or anything. So it was just get down, get dirty, and have fun, and that's what we did. And it never felt like we were in a tight game or that tight. It didn't feel like that.
But so you guys were, and you were behind. You trailed most of the game.
We did, and actually I didn't know that really until the next day when we watched Channel 5 and saw it. And
wow, they were behind.
Yeah, it was a lot closer game, and it was because we just played like we always played.
Right. And you guys just felt like you're going to win, didn't you?
Yeah, the whole way. Just felt like we were going to win, and that's the way we walked around.
And one of the guys, and you'll have to remember his name for me, that kicked the field goal.
Wilton Evans. Yep.
Wilton Evans. Straight on kicker.
Straight on kicker.
41 yards, and it just clears the thing. But that gives you guys the lead, and then you turn around and you lose it, and then you get it back again, another field goal.
Oh yeah, that's the way we were, always were, and it was one of those things. I remember the first score that Norcom had. It was a long run. I forgot the running back's name.
Oh no, he was good.
Really good. And
I'm trying to remember too. I can't recall it, but he was a great athlete.
I remember the next kickoff, because I was on the kickoff return team. They kicked it to Chuck and actually ended up going it back for a touchdown. So we know we were going to be in that game. It's going to be a tough one, but we knew we were going to be in it.
Yeah, when you say Chuck, you talk Bubba Chuck, you talk about
yeah.
So some of the people might not know who you're talking about. But anyway, and then you go and you win that game. Then you go up to Richmond, play Huguenot. Cold as a dickens. This is a field that when they first come out with AstroTurf, it was like playing on cement.
It pretty much was cement.
And you got hurt in that ball game.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I was blocking and somebody ended up landing on my foot and then breaking my toe. And after that, I actually caught a pass. And,
with a broken toe?
Yeah. And I was waiting for that all my whole career, and I catch a pass with a broken toe, and I can't do anything with it.
But you guys play, and this game, you get to the fourth quarter, and we're talking maybe 6 minutes left, and you guys are down 16-0. That means not only you have to score 2 scores, but you have to have two-point conversions.
Yeah, they didn't have a field goal kicker,
right?
So they always had to go for 2. And actually, their first score was a mistake because my backup was our goal line defensive tackle. And when I came out the game and he was already in, we were one man down and didn't know it until I was trying to get everybody's attention, but I had ice on my foot and running, started trying
So they actually scored the first 2-point conversion against 10 men on defense.
Correct, and that still bothers me to this day.
Well, and then I don't know how long you won it. But it was like Allen was not going to let you guys lose that ball game.
He always had that desire. He always had that heart, and he willed everybody else the same way. And we all kind of rallied behind him, and he trusted us too. That was one of the things that we had to gain his trust, because I remember we had played Denby, and he got hurt. And I was like, we all kind of sat down with him. All right, now you got to trust us to block for you, because nobody's around you. I know you want to run. You feel like you can get the 5 yards instead of throwing it. Just sit back and let us do our job, and you can do yours, and we'll be successful. And after that, he did.
All right. So it was a kind of combination of trust on both sides.
Correct.
All right. Then you go to EC Glass, and this is like a walkthrough. I mean, this is like no pressure at all. I mean, you played two of the toughest games during the whole season, I would imagine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you always. I'm not taking anything away from Hampton and Phoebus and all and Kickingham.
Those are still tough games.
Yeah.
I see guys from Phoebus to this day, and they still talk about those games. So I think we only beat them by 1 point that year,
right.
And Coach D was one of our staff at CNU, and he still talks about that. I'm like,
still talking about that game.
Then he likes talking about the game after next year because we ended up beating us by 1 point. But
right. Well, I know that while you were at Bethel, you also ran track because this was something that Kaz always wanted his football players to do, kind of keep in shape, work on your skills, your lateral movement and all that stuff. So what did you do in track?
Threw shot put and discus, and actually ran on 4x1, like that's a second tier 4x1 team.
Right. And because everybody ran.
Everybody had to run.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about playing for Coach Kaz. Intense. I mean, that's kind of saying it.
It was
easy.
He had his way, and that was always going to be. And from when he was there till when I came through, it was pretty much the same way the whole. Right. And it was going to be tough. It was going to be intense the whole time, and go to 2-day practices. I still remember hitting that 7-man sled to this day, from offensive lineman to the quarterback. Everybody had to hit it. He had a way to get it in your face. He put his nose on my face mask. I'm like,
everybody had their own interpretation and could mimic Kaz.
Oh, no doubt about it. Get in that locker room, we just start laughing.
All right, so great career in football. And then at the end of the football game, I interviewing Alan, and I said, what are you going to do next? He said, we're going to win the state championship of basketball. Well, it's bravado, right? That's not going to happen. But you're playing on that team. Kelly Rogers is playing on that team. Who else from Chris Gaskell?
Yep.
So you had some guys from that football team that had won a state championship, now got a chance to win the state basketball championship.
That whole deal was really surreal because we were out there, wanted that swagger, we wanted to keep that going, right. And it just kept going, and we just had fun. Went out there, we lost the game to Hampton High, and we were like, man, we didn't lose too many games that year, so it was just. They
had the Baycoat kid playing.
Yep,
over
Baycoat.
There. Boy,
it was good.
Damon Baycoat was good. Because I watched that game a couple times that you guys played him. I think it was the third game that you played him over the Coliseum. There were 11,000 people in the Coliseum watching that ball game.
Yep.
And you could see the fire in both teams. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted to lose.
It was just
the
rivalry we had, and that's the way we wanted to get, because it for football, because we had like 11,000 in Darling Stadium watching us play for that, and even basketball. I remember the fire marshal said we can't have it here. We got to have it someplace else. And then we had the old HU court. Right. Can't have it here. Got to have it someplace else. So I ended up at the Hampton Coliseum. Right. That was big time for us.
Because I remember when I was coaching, we used to play doubleheaders over there.
Oh, yeah.
But that was before we even had girls basketball.
Right.
But it would be like Kickingham would play York, because York was in the thing, and Bethel would play. So we played a lot of games at the Coliseum when I was coaching. But then they got away from it. But I was so glad because there was a lot of people wouldn't have got to see that game had it not been at a venue that would allow that many spectators to come in. All right, now you guys, you're playing your basketball. How long did it take you to get your basketball legs? Because it's a little different, isn't it?
I was young then, so it didn't take long. I didn't play as much as I wanted to. Right. I mean, my sport was football, but I was glad to be on the team, and I played my role. I was rebound, kick it out. That's pretty much what I did.
Right, and everybody had a role. Right. And I had Coach Daniel in here, and he was, that was the first year he was coaching, but Early had his role. Gaither had his role. He said Dante Travis. He said he was probably the best defensive ball player he'd ever seen in his life.
No doubt about it.
And he's coaching in Kentucky now.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get him in here. But now, as you guys going through this thing, it's not an easy road. to the state championship.
No doubt. No, there's too many good teams. There's too many good players in this state to just think we're going to walk through.
Right.
And even though we have two of the best in the state, there's not going to be no cakewalk.
But you guys did it.
Yeah,
so
we did.
You know, and to look back at it now and say, I won a state championship in football and I won a state championship in basketball in the same year. You know, you might say, man, that's surreal.
It is, no doubt about it.
There's very few people can say something like that and be able to brag. Because, I mean, you did it, so why not brag about it, you know? You graduate and you walk on to JMU.
Yes.
But you end up getting a full ride.
Yeah, I've always been the guy that had to fight for pretty much everything, so ended up earning a full scholarship, walk on with under Coach Shear. Gave me the opportunity to walk as a recruited walk on, and kept fighting my way up. And I thought it wasn't going to happen because as soon as I ended up trying to work my way in, he ends up leaving to Memphis.
Oh, that's right.
And then I had to prove myself to a new head coach, Alex Wood, which then that spring he ends up giving me a scholarship, which was huge for me. So.
Right. Well, paid for your college, and that's what you want. What position did you play when you were there? You again on defense or offense? What was
defensive end.
Defensive end.
Yes.
You love hitting people, didn't you?
No doubt about it.
But now you're there as a sophomore, and you start thinking something in the back of your head. You're thinking about, you know, weight training and the right way to do these things. So you start talking and talking to the strength coach up there.
Coach Warner was one of the influences of getting me into strength training. Didn't no clue that what it was until I actually got it, because I just thought everybody did it on their own.
Right.
And so when I got there and he was, you know, putting us through the paces, conditioning part, and in the weight room, I got really interested because I always had a passion for trying to get myself better.
Right.
And even me reading articles in high school and middle school about, you know, Spud Webb and a bunch of Lawrence Taylor, and try to get better like them.
Right. All right. So then you get your degree in kinesiology.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't even know what kinesiology is, but we're talking the body.
Study of human movement.
The study of human movement. So, you know, you talk about, and I remember back when you said you had a learning disability. Mm-hmm. Well, you ended up with a degree in a pretty tough subject. Yeah,
it was. I had to take exercise physiology, biology, all this stuff that a lot of people were failing, human anatomy, and I had to work really hard to get it done. So that's football gave me that focus.
Right.
Gave me that I had to get this done at this time, so might as well go ahead and do it now instead of later.
All right, you get your degree, and you're going to play a little arena football. You weren't ready to quit football, were you?
No, I wasn't. No, I tried a couple of teams and ended up playing arena football over in Norfolk. Probably never been hurt so many times in my life, but it was a great experience because
it's really different, isn't it?
A lot different. Just the rules of the game, how short the field is, how fast it is. It was. We'll score. I think one game we scored like three touchdowns in less than 30 seconds. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Wow. I can't even comprehend that. Oh man. And then when did you go to CNU? And you had to apply for the job.
I did. I actually was helping out at Bethel after I got off arena ball. As soon as arena ball ended, August, and I started helping out at Bethel with my cousins that were still coaching there.
Right.
And ended up meeting Coach Kelchner, which is probably a whole different story because never met the man before. He coached at William & Mary.
Right.
And as I introduced myself, because he's pretty much starting the program, and just grabs hold of me, pulls me real close to him. I'm like, what in the world is this man doing? And he remembers me from JMU.
Oh.
That said, no clue who he was. And when he introduced himself, told me he was from William & Mary and what positions he coached and everything. I was like, okay, now it's making a little sense, but can you back up now? But he ends up does a lot of research on me, and a lot of the coaches that I played for and actually coached with gave me good reviews and asked me to come on and actually interview for the position. So I'm sitting there in front of a committee of that head athletics trainer, the AD, and 3 coaches I've never met before, and I was
a little more nervous than this, right?
I wasn't really nervous.
Oh, that's good.
It was weird. I just felt like I belonged, and when I walked in, I just started talking to him, and it ended up getting the job. And 11 years later, here I am.
11 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to wrap this thing up, but I want you to talk about the values of what you're doing, along with the diet, and I know you end up doing a little bit of counseling too, but because the kids got to come to somebody, and
right.
you know, if you develop a rapport with them, they're going to come talk to you. Mm-hmm. But talk about the values of what you're doing that will stay with the kids forever. We're not just talking about next year, but we're talking about the rest of their life.
It's for me, it's huge. I mean, it's just what I do. But just the discipline that you have to get yourself going, right. Because you're not going to have your mother getting you out of bed and telling you have to be here, there, and it's pretty much, all right, this is where you have to be. You got to be here. Set your alarm, get it done, right. And just even the technique, because a lot of stuff that I have to deal with is dangerous. Right. It is, and we have to teach the proper technique and what they have to do. On top of that, eating correctly is absolutely huge, because we're asking a lot of these guys because they're at a higher level. The things they did in high school probably can't get away with in college.
Right.
So everything's got to be correct, even stuff you're putting in your body, because I know our dining services does an excellent job with everything. They have a wide variety of stuff, but the choices they have to make, because a lot of the guys are eating out of vending machines. I know a lot of money is being made in high schools out of vending machines.
Absolutely.
And they really can't do that. So instead of making, I tell them, because on the right-hand side, as soon as you walk in, it's a hamburger and hot dogs. You can't eat that all the time. Go deeper, because they have the salads and soups, fruits, vegetables, everything, well-balanced meal. And pretty much the easiest way I can tell them is the more colors you have on your plate, the better.
More colors.
Mm-hmm, more colors.
Love it. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
I want to thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sportstime. I want to thank my special guest, Jonathan Dean. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Until next time.